everyone. Now, our first topical issue this morning is the impact of communication in enhancing national security, and we've been joined this morning by an expert in that field, an engineer, Felix Adegboye. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Good morning.
Now, if you look at the issue of security, especially at the national frontier, we must really be concerned, especially with the quantum of challenges on our hands as a people. Now, many have also said that digitizing the process of security architecture would be the way to go in enhancing security. But to what extent do you think Nigeria is serious about digitizing communication towards security improvements in this country?
Well, I thank you very much for that question. I think we're making some progress, and that's why we're not left behind in the world. And the world is graduating or moving to 5G, and Nigeria is not left out because of the advantages inherent in the 5G technology. And you cannot actually have, monitor security effectively and do the security work effectively without communication. In fact, the criminals themselves, the bandits, the terrorists, they make use of technology to, for effective coordination of their work. And we also need to do something to counter their work. And that's the only way to go.
The principal security agency, as it were, internal security agency in Nigeria is the police. And many conversations have also surrounded the modus operandi of the police, especially the way manner, policing on the highway, and all of that are concerned. Do you think we're really employing proper communication facilities to be able to really track criminals and nip crime in the bud in this country, especially with the police?
Yeah, we are trying. The issue is the ability to deploy resources into the communication systems. It's possible to monitor everything going on all over the world, all over Nigeria, right there in your work, in your place of work or wherever. In the office, the AIG or CP can right there in the office, and he monitors everything via radar or different kinds of monitoring equipments. And wherever any police is, as long as he's on the surface of this earth, you can actually monitor him and using some equipments. So nobody can hide anywhere. It reminds me of an incident that happened, was it 2 days ago or so? My son was telling me in the US that a lady forgot her car in the key, her car key inside the car, and there was no way he could start the car. And he had to call her husband right in Germany. And right in Germany, the car was started from Germany. So there are a lot of things we can do, but are we serious as a government to deploy resources into this? We know all these things, but resources is required. It's not the expertise, it's these resources.
If you're talking about deploying resources, then if I'm correct, and I'm not preempting you, then you might be hinging at the corruption that has really eaten so deeply into the nerves of many arena in Nigeria.
Well, that's not a news. It's in the public domain. Everybody knows that our lifestyle in Nigeria is corruption. It's part of our lives. We grow up in it, and anybody who wants to live above it is seen as an extremist, and if there's a way they can eliminate him, even right here in your office, and somebody wants to stand above board and say, okay, no, I will not be part of this, is seen as an extremist or whatever. So it's endemic corruption, and that's why we cannot go anywhere unless we fight corruption.
We're talking about communication and security now.
Yeah.
There was a time the federal government, through its agencies, directed that there should be a shutdown of telecommunication networks in Zamfara State, and I think it is important for us to talk about it. What's your thought about that move in the first place, and did it in any way even achieve its main purpose?
Like I told you when I was making my first presentation, is that the criminals, the terrorists, the bandits were making use of the communication opportunity, technology, to enhance and coordinate their work effectively. That's why the government was pushed to doing that. Because at times you don't have to throw away the water and the baby. You understand? So when you shut down the whole systems, you shut down yourself, unless you have to create another means of communicating. So it is difficult to achieve your goal when you shut down the entire system. Very difficult. Of course, for everything, just like virus and antivirus, some people are just producing virus every time, and antivirus will come up. It's a matter of business. Antivirus will come up. Before you know what's happening, there's a virus again to attack it, and they keep on producing and producing. You keep on. So I don't subscribe to the fact that you have to shut down the whole system because you want to counter the bandits. Of course, maybe the bandits have sponsors and they have money to deploy. But the government, we're not serious about it.
Talking about having money and having sponsors, we also read a report from our fellow colleagues on ground in Zamfara State who did investigative reports about when and how this thing was playing out. We understand that despite the cuts of the telecommunication network, they were still communicating, they were still making, passing message, calling and all of that. How possible could that be in the first place?
We can make use of the internet. The space is also there, the satellite, and different kinds of media. Are you getting me? You should shut down, maybe you shut down the microwave link, you shut down, even if you shut down the satellite system. Of course, there are different media of communication. You can't shut down the internet, the starting space. Are you getting me? And information can still flow. And this because they are more, organized. They know what they want, and they are there to do it. And like I told you, they have resources to deploy into carrying out these criminal activities. You understand? But we are not serious about it. How serious are we even within our own systems? Are we sure we don't have people, internal people who are cooperating with the criminals and releasing information to them? So all about security is just information. Police cannot do anything if there's no communication. And the criminals cannot do anything if there's no communication. Take, for example, somebody is waylaid and maybe handpicked or kidnapped. And they will tell you, okay, if there's no communication, there's no way you can reach. Well, kidnapping was not there when there was no GSM. You understand me now? It is through GSM, they give information, and they arrest the person. It is through the same phone they get in touch with the family. Are you getting me? It is through the same phone they coordinate the, what they call redemption fee that they used to pay. Are you getting me? Now they answer, okay. And as you are going, they are following you. They are monitoring you. How are they doing that? It's because they are serious. They know what they want. We can do it. It is the willpower within us.
Okay, well, I know that there are different areas that the government can actually, go into so as to see that the national security of the country is actually salvaged as regards communication, so to say. If now look at some of the technologies being used by these criminal elements that you mentioned, for government. You made mention of the satellite and talking about the internet. Which other areas that you think that government can actually look into and key into so as to nip this criminality in the bud?
Like I told you, the technologies are just, basically, the means of communication are just two. Either you use wire or wireless. Are you getting me now? And you come to the wireless, that is not banded, it is unbanded. You cannot guard it. And there are different means also. You can use, you have Internet of Things, you have smart this, smart that, and you can do surveillance and radar, and what they call this drone is also there, and different kinds of things that the government can. With ordinary fiber optic cable, if the government wants to monitor, they can still do. You understand me now?
How?
You say how?
Yes.
Because the topology is the arrangement. We do the arrangement. You understand? We do the arrangement. Just if once you do the arrangement, you are not limited. You can monitor anywhere, just to send signal from wherever you are to the base.
You've been mentioning willpower. You've been mentioning unseriousness of those in authority. Does this suggest that there is compromise within the rank and file of those in power? Therefore, making it seem that there is even no willpower to counter terrorism and deal with criminality?
Yeah, when you talk about government, it's not one person. The president might be very serious. How about the chief of staff? How about the chief of general staff? How about, they are all right. Even if the chief of general staff or the chief of defense staff is very serious, and the inspector general of police is very serious, yes, other people. One person cannot be everywhere. So it depends. You have to We have to change our orientation, change our psyche, and make us to love our country, to love ourselves more than we love money. Money is our God in this country, and that's why we are not moving forward. Americans can die just for their flag. They are ready to spend, to die because of the name of their country. No, Nigeria is ready.
How can the system be strengthened in such a way that it will be greater than individuals manning it? And because all of this discussion is now central on people manning the system
National orientation.
as against what should be the strength of the system itself. You mentioned national orientation. That's part of one of the structures of the system, which many have also had reservations about its modus operandi and its effectiveness. That's not just the only agency of government. There are many other agencies of government. There's the Federal Ministry of Information and Orientation there. Many other agencies of government, which many people have said that are such moribund and ineffective. How then do we strengthen institutions and systems in such a way that they will be more energetic than the individuals manning them?
The government has to be serious, put structure in place, and remove politics from every appointment. Let's put the right people with the right mind in the right place, and let us pursue. Let's have a way of measuring our performances. If a minister is there, is not performing, what are the yardsticks to measure his performances? If he's not performing, remove him. If we remove politics and sentiment from everything we want to do, we can't do it. We have the knowledge. We know everything in this country. God has blessed us with capacity, but like I told you, it's a mindset. It's corruption that's in them. We know the right thing, but we refuse to do it. I don't know if I've answered your question at all, if I'm addressing it at all. That's the situation. It's a serious matter. We bring religion, we bring sentiment, we bring I know you, and that's why the whole thing is going this way, because people have lost faith in the country completely. I was telling somebody, look, if you have money, whatever it will take, you send your money, your children out of this country. But it's not the right thing to say. But you keep on there. As we're talking now, a lot of graduates who are not employed, and children of ministers, before they finish, what job is waiting for them? Children of God, before they finish, what job is waiting for them? Are you getting me now? And then my own children, your own children, when they finish, some of us have 3 graduates without job, 4 graduates without job. You go to University of, the Institute of Higher Learning, no seriousness. I don't want to go into, we won't finish it today.
Okay, fine. Let's look at the way, we know that there are some bodies who are professional bodies now, into communication, into technology, you just name it. Some of them are shying away from the fact that they need to as well help the federal government, assisting them in this issue of national security. What has been the effort so far, so to say? Do you think that the roles that they are playing is let me say, they are underutilizing their roles as professional bodies now?
Yeah, what we do is to engage the government. Like, I'm from Nigerian Institute of Electronic Engineers, and under it we have a lot of divisions, like the power systems. There's a bill going on right now that's to be presented in National Assembly, and we have the NCC also, because under Institute of Electronic Engineers, we have the electronic arm, we have the telecommunications arm, we have the computer, ICT arm, and so on and so forth. So what we do in some of this, when we recognize it, what we do is to engage the government. You understand? We have to visit, go to them, talk to them, where they have the right to reject what I want to say. Sometimes we send bills to the National Assembly. Sometimes we send delegates to visit them and then tell them some of these things. So it depends on who they, okay. For instance, when you don't put the right, sometimes you find that nobody who is a doctor, anybody who is not a doctor cannot be Minister for Health. Am I correct? But you find a lawyer being Minister for Communication. You find a lawyer being a Minister of Works. Sometimes when you engage such person in some discussion, they don't understand. They don't appreciate what you're saying. But then that does not mean that we're also doing enough. Some of us are shying away of politics. We don't want to be part of it. We just want to be engaged in our engineering. Yes, fine. But policy making is part of it. We don't have policy in place. our policies are wrong. Sometimes when they are right, implementation is wrong. So we need to put professionals, serious professionals anyway, you understand, in the right place.
As of December last year, there's this headline that says engineering bill suffers setback in Senate, SON current fault legislation, and talks about your institute trying to get legal backing. What's the current situation now in that regard, and what do we stand to gain by perhaps the Senate, the National Assembly giving a legal backing to an institute like yours?
Okay, thank you very much. Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers had realized that we have been operating without a legal backing. And that's why you cannot sue. That's why you cannot call anybody to order. You have electrical, fire here and there because there's no regulation. The regulation is that we have current. Current takes care of all engineers. Are you getting me? But there's no specific regulations guiding the practice of electrical engineering in the country. That's why we deem it fit. I was there at the public hearing, and all the issue of I don't like that is just because everybody wants to protect his job. And the current felt that maybe if CIEEN is put in place, it will jeopardize. It is not. You can't become an engineer without current registering you. Are you getting me now? And you can't also practice. You have to practice under the guidelines by CIEEN. Are you getting me? So we have the engineering body being regulated by current, and they want to have the Charter Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, not really regulating, but guiding the practice, and ensure that if you don't do the right thing, you can be sued.
What have you discovered so far for you to now say?
The bill is still there.
Of course, no. As your institute now, from what is happening in Nigeria, how bad is the situation we have in our hands for us to say we need your institute to step in and, of course, add voices to the situation on ground?
Oh, I think without these institutes, there is no modernization, there's no advancement, there's no progress, because if you build a house, you need the comfort. This thing we're doing today now, how can people hear us? Are you getting me now? And you see, when I entered here, I saw some things, I made some comments when I got in here. I found that my institute can be the voice, you understand, between the masses, of the masses with the government, to ensure the right thing is done. You want to build a house, especially once it's not bunga. There are a lot of houses they build, the kind of installation they carry out there, they don't meet up with quality. Like, there was a time I told somebody in my church, I said, okay, I put in some standing AC, about 4 horsepower, that's 3 tons. And 2 of them, I said, okay, electrical technician, I said, please, it's been installed, but please cable it for me. You understand me now? And eventually I found that he used 2.5 mm cable for what's supposed to use 6 mm cable for. And I was saying, he was arguing with me. I said, no, you can't do that. And that's what we have everywhere. Many of the fire incidences we're having are due to electrical fault, wrong installation. Wrong installation. So that's what we want to curtail. We want to ensure that it is minimized. Come to telecoms, broadcasting, ICT, there are so many quacks there. Quacks. And they call themselves engineers. And when you want to do a job and you say, give me a quotation, why the engineer will give you 2 million naira, they give you 250,000, they give you 500, you say this is only cheaper, and you give it to him. But you are going to pay for it in the future. What you're supposed to enjoy for 5 years or 10 years, you now end up enjoying it for 6 months. Eventually, you might suffer losses.
I'm always quick to question lamentation of the existence of quacks in almost every profession, and I'm always quick to ask, can the fake thrive without the compromise of the original? Where does adulteration come from, except through the compromise of those handling the original?
No, I wouldn't say you are correct. The only thing I say is because we don't have legal, and maybe the legal backings are there, maybe the bills are there, the laws are there, but we're not serious about carrying the laws out. Are you getting me? As I'm talking, even in the medical field, you see nurses or those who went through this to go and learn how to inject people. They call them Yoruba balance muiwa, and they call them, some of them even parade themselves as doctors. I know somebody who is a medical laboratory scientist, and people know him around there as a doctor, and he will open and be operating. Poverty is one of the problems, and people will feel that it's cheaper, and they go to it.
Exactly where I'm hinging at. If you agree now that yes, certain people who are not professionally qualified to be what are calling themselves that too, then where comes the place of the associations, unions, and professional groups such as yours and many others? There's the MB, there's the NMA, there's the NGG, many other organizations such like that. So where's the place of those associations to check?
Law. You want to, like policy, law. You want to monitor, okay, you're on your own. If you arrest somebody, you take him to police or whatever, eventually you lose it. You end up wasting your time. You go to court, you get nothing from it. The guy might have much money than you. Prosecute the thing and you come out. But if there is a law and there is backing, there is an agency to ensure that the law is followed strictly, the law is implemented. Nobody is arresting anybody. And that's why most of the engineers we don't have job to do. Because the job you have to do is what the quacks, the technicians are doing it, and the artisans are doing it, and they call themselves engineers. There was a time I was implementing some projects for Globalcom, and you go to field, those boys who are will just pick on the road to supervise the digging of Tifaba. You call them, say, we are sleeper. They say, I'm engineer. They call them engineers. Architects are called engineers. They are not engineers. Are you getting me now? They're architect, fine, they're architect, professional architect. But the people outside there call them engineer, and they don't tell themselves, but who is going to arrest them? Are you getting me now? Who is going to arrest them? Don't parade yourself as engineer. Like I'll tell you, if you are not registered with current, even if you have PhD in electrical engineering or in any field of engineering, as long as you don't register with current, you are not supposed to bear the name engineer, even if you are a professor. Are you getting me now? But then, it's illegal to parade name yourself that engineer. Of course, the name is not what we like that in this part of the world anyway.
Let's better back to the focal point of the discussion, especially as far as it has to do with national security. These are days when many countries of the world have even gone beyond the issue of soft hardware technologies. They have now gone to space technologies and all of that. What is inhibiting Nigeria from taking advantage of the modernized space technology for advanced national security?
So what is inhibiting us? I don't think I have anything to say. We can do it if we want to do it. The experience at the NCC is there. They are working every day. Are you getting me now? We can take advantage of it. Look, last week or 2 weeks ago, I was reading some documents and all that. As we talk, we are struggling with, to commence 5G technology. China is already taking off 6G. Are you getting me? The thing is there. And I won't say we don't have the money. And we have the people, personnel, the human capacity is there. If we want to do, we do. We don't want to do, we think more. For everything, I was discussing with somebody in one government office in one state I don't want to mention. He's a special advisor to the governor sometimes. He said, look, everything you see politicians doing is not because of people. Everything is because of an interest. Even when they say we want to do 5G, somebody has some interest. Interest.
While we still let you help us clarify myths surrounding the 5G technology, let's get your thoughts about the NIN registration. At a point in time, the federal government announced that there will be placed a ban on the sale of SIM cards, asking Nigerians to now go link their SIM and with a national identity card and all of that. But now, what began months ago, we're still even talking about it up until this present day. What's your assessment of how it has gone? At the point in time, the Minister of Digital Economy said, Issa Pantami said, it's just also enhance security be able to nip kidnappers, bandits, terrorists, and all of that. What's your assessment of how that scheme has gone months ago?
I've not seen any progress made. So many people, somebody was talking to me yesterday and was saying that it has gone to a level that if you don't pay money, we did it free of charge. But it has gone to a level that the national registration, identification registration is not done today in many quarters where you don't give money. And are people ready to pay such money? And really, without it, that's why in the advanced countries, once you have national security number, you cannot hide anywhere. You can't hide. You can't take a loan and run away. You can't commit crime and run away. There's nothing you want to do. You understand me now? It is still that we are not serious. Look at this COVID vaccine. It is still that we're not serious. If the government wants to do it, they can do it. We can do it. It is not the people.
Okay,
when are we going to be serious?
I don't know.
Question.
I don't know.
Okay,
if I prefer my own solution, it will not be accepted, and I don't want to say it openly here.
Okay, fine. Still talking about communication.
Our psyche must change. Everything about us have to change. We should forget about money.
Okay, well, forgetting about money, but money is still
money is good.
Yeah, will still be needed.
Yeah,
is involved in all this conversations.
I'm not talking of corruption.
Yes, but now let's look at the roles of the telecommunication, companies in Nigeria. What has been their role so far? Have they been supportive? From your perspective now, do you think that they are really living up to the responsibility of the issue of national security is concerned? What has been?
The operators and service providers don't have done much more than what they are doing now. They are operating in a very harsh environment. Very harsh environment. A situation where you have to run your BTSs, your base stations with diesel every day. The cost of deployment. I was involved in deploying optic fiber cable in many parts of this country. We do some of them with billions of naira involved, and within 6 months they are uprooted. You see some of the optic fiber cable that are supposed to be underground now flying in the sky because they want to sustain their service. They are losing every day. So they want to do. The equipments are there, the personnel are there, but the environment is harsh. There's no enabling environment for the business to thrive. They are there to make money too. Moderate profit, but they can't to break even is problem. That's why their contribution, they are doing their best to sustain it, to do everything, but the environment is not enabling. It's not enabling.
Well, away from that, we know that.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm asking you.
Yeah, you're doing that, doing justice to that. Let's look at the issue of capacity, the personnel, now, because we understand that many a times we talk about brain drain, from professionals moving from Nigeria to the other countries of the world, just to do their stuff there. Now, let's look at this angle. We have some people who are talented, who have the skills, who have the wherewithal to actually improve, technology. You find them. There was a time some students in the University of Mbakuku, invented what they call robotic dog.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, after so much effort that have been put in place to ensure that, the invention, is seen by the whole world, but after many years, you discover that, you cannot find that. What is happening as regards the bodies now, professional bodies? To what extent are they supporting these intelligent inventors in Nigeria, so to say?
Yeah, we have started doing some things in advocacy, going from school to school, trying to encourage it. But then, most of the advocacy is with the government. In advanced countries, it is universities that provide solution to the industry. You understand? Because they go do some projects and solve problems. Universities solve problems, national problems, technological problems, come up with innovations, and the factory, the industry will come and buy. That's how you see them given grants to department to students. But here in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. The university graduates have to go to the industry to learn, whereas the industry have to come to the university to learn. So when they come up with projects of that nature, it is still policy trust. If such person is a child of a big man there in Nigeria system, it will be noise all over. You understand me? But most of these people, intelligent ones who are doing few things. There was a time during this COVID in 2020, in our branch in Adegboye, we carry out some projects and invited the government, invited people there to come and see what we're doing here and there. Well, that's the end of the story, because you have to push, just like passing a bill now. For your bill to go through in Nigeria parliamentary or legislation, you have to push. You don't push with mouth. You have to know advocacy. You have to spend money. The question, why must you spend money before a bill? That's what they are there for.
Well, don't you think that the special allocation should be on grant for these inventors of some of these things that we see? Because what we hear is that, yes, from what you've just said right now, that yes, advocacy, they have some things in place. But don't you think that these bodies should have a special allocation? That if peradventure we have an inventor just like those guys in Adegboye University, that okay, fine, to support them. What is some of these bodies doing? Okay, fine. Now let's use your institute as a point of contact. So, do you have some of these things on grant for to be inventors?
Yeah, if you invent a project, like I said, we have to make noise about it for you, and the bit we can do in relating with those in authority to support you, we will do. We don't have the money to understand, but we can relate with the government. Agency of government. I also want to believe that some of these agencies have budget allocation for these things, but are they really ready to release? So we need to play some politics. If you don't play the politics, nothing will come out. You have to play some politics. Just like you said, if things like that happen, let the bodies know. If the bodies are aware of it, we will do our best.
Well, Engineer Adegboye, let's take a look at something. They said if the foundation be destroyed. So let's go to that foundation. Most times when you look at the education sector of the Nigerian state, it seems that we're more theoretical than being practical about the reality on ground. So to what extent do you think that there's still much to be done, and what are those things to still be done to really make our education system problem-solving inclined and not just la crap, la poor, like many people call it?
Our tutors, our educators need to go back to school. I don't mean four wall of the university. They are not updating themselves. My son finished from one university here before he traveled abroad. When he got there, he told me, Daddy, there's no learning in Nigeria. Yeah, he came out with a very good grade, but there's no learning in Nigeria. Because those who are teaching you, those who are training you, those who are lecturing you themselves are limited. Some of them were still using brand notebooks that they used in the 60s to lecture in this 2022, 2021, 2020. The technologies of those days are gone. New things are, so you need to keep on updating. Our lecturers are not updating. The facilities in the universities, in the laboratories are not enough. So most of them, when you don't even know what you are learning, you just cram. You don't even understand it. You just cram and you put, and you go and pour. I have this experience. If there are some lecturers, if you don't write just what they taught you, they wrote in your notes, you won't pass. If you write the same thing in a different word, when my son was in this university, one university, I don't want to mention his name, I don't want to mention university. In 100 level, yes, 200 level, 300 level, he was having problems with the lecturer because for a particular topic, he likes reading. He will go and read this book, he will read that 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 book, and then come out with his own opinion and present. They will score him low. He won't fail, but they will score him low. He was angry. He wanted to, I said, don't worry. When he got to 400 level, he said, I'm going to be lazy now. He would just read the notes. You understand? He just read the note of the lecturer and go and pour for them. And they was calling him A. Shouldn't be like that.
But some of these lecturers, fortunately or unfortunately, are your colleagues, professionally.
Yeah, it's individual. Well, not all of them are registered. Even if they are registered, you can't force them. You can't take them to. They are registered. They are registered. Once you meet your basic qualification, they register you. Are you getting me now? So, once you are registered, I know some. I don't want to be around here. We were talking about him yesterday. The man, I don't know whether and he's already a PhD holder. When he was lecturing me, he had masters. Nothing. I've not gotten anything. I've never got anything from him.
As a body, as an institute,
yeah.
Is there no way, for example, he is a member of your institute?
We cannot go contrary to our regulation. It's not yet in our constitution.
Of course.
And we don't have...
Let's just take that for it.
That's why we're looking at CI, charter and stuff. When we are chartered, there are a lot of things we can do.
It is often said that society gets the leader it deserves.
Yeah.
The same thing can be said to mean that an institution also gets the kind of
leader,
tutors, teachers, lecturers that such institution deserves. Now, isn't there a way of also tinkering with the system in such a way that it will be so hostile to people who are averse to self-development, averse to upgrading, such that, for instance, if the curriculum is not static and just redundant, maybe the issue you raise of somebody using the notes of 1982 to teach in 2020, 2021, 2022 will not be an experience.
He has an HOD, he has a dean, he has a vice chancellor, you have a deputy vice chancellor, academics, who is monitoring them. Go to the universities. How many times do professors go to lecture? It is the assistant lecturers, lecturer one, probably maybe level of senior lecturer that go to class. So even some of the senior lecturers, most of the time you don't go to. Who is monitoring who?
Well, anyway, because of time, I like to look at this as if we've been going through a term paper all along.
Yeah.
We've got to that point where we need to make recommendations.
Okay.
You've painted the gloomy picture of what the situation really is and the rot in the system. If you are going to correct these abnormalities, what do you think we need to do as a people? Whether in power or as followers, what should we do?
One, the fear of God is number one. Number two, I mentioned national orientation. Number three, for every law, there will be agencies to ensure that the law is followed. And then, for all these professional bodies, like association, Nigerian Civil Engineers, Nigerian Civil Electrical Engineers, apart from current, back them up with law. Let them be able to do things on behalf of the government. If somebody is not doing right, somebody is calling himself, let there be arrest. Call police. This person is not an engineer. This person is not doing right. Let him be arrested. If we put such corrective measures and monitoring agencies in place, are you getting me now? Now, I mentioned orientation because both in the churches and mosques, they're not doing enough. Corruption that's eating up everywhere. Our sight must change. And let people know that it's not all about getting rich. I don't want to go into the issue of Yahoo. And the problem of Nigeria, sir, between you and I, you all know, what future do you have after leaving this place? I learned of a permanent secretary that retired in this country, this state, many years ago. He's not earning pension. And he has wonderful profile of things he has done. But because he was not up to 60 years before he retired, but he has gone to the level of permanent secretary. The man is just, he has no pension. So, if there is this thing they call, I've forgotten the name now, let there be something everybody falls on. If we know that, even if you start the cycle today, your futures now, you can have food money. Nobody will be running. Corruption is becoming endemic because everybody is on his own. There is this thing they practice in abroad, I've forgotten the name now. That's, you are taken care of.
Social security.
Social security, social whatever. I don't need to think of my mother, old mother. Are you getting? If the government is taking care of an old mother, and my children are going to, all I need to think about is, let there be housing for everybody. You can buy and pay within 20 years, 30 years. Nobody will run after killing ourselves to make money. This is, not everybody can be godly. Because people have lost hope. They want to secure their future.
In terms of national security via enhanced communication, we have FNSE, you did mention that. We have NARSTA and many other agencies of government. What will be your recommendation in enhancing or empowering those agencies of government to be able to really afford us the pipes to national security?
NCC is empowered. Most of these ones are government agencies. They are empowered. How much are they? How they are not? They are empowered, but are they toothless bulldog or not? They are empowered.
Are they toothless bulldogs?
Yeah.
Are they?
They are given power, but they carry them out. If they carry them out, if you prosecute, okay, this is a minister. He has done something wrong. The law is there. You just find that even I'm robber here in Nigeria, if you can argue very well, you come out of it. Well, God will help us. We have to decide to change. We have to decide.
Finally, before we let you go, you have mentioned something that most times gets me worried, and that is the fact that at every point in time, we leave everything to God. Just that God will help us. Yeah. But we seem not to want to help ourselves. We just want God to do everything for us. When are we going to really wake up to our own responsibility as a people and not leaving everything to God?
It has to start with me. I'll start with you. You see somebody who just throw paper down, please come back, pick this. Of course, the first time they will abuse you, you don't mind. Somebody doing wrong, correct that person. Since when I came in here, I don't like this place. Look at cables everywhere. Are you getting me now? I have to say it. Let it start from here. Let's start from here. If you have to fly cable, put them on that rock. Protect them. Somebody can fall down and injure himself, and there's a permanent loss. I mean, you understand me now? So, you don't have to you don't have to close your mouth. We love ourselves. We love our job more than anything. That's why. So.
What culture must Nigerians start to build to, in their own way, also contribute to national security through communication? A lot of us carry our phones, make calls, browse on the internet. What culture must we start imbibing for that national security?
Discipline and bravery. Fearlessness. There's something they call, you shout it out. You shout it out. Somebody doing the wrong thing, you shout it out. Reports. Reports. Bravery. Be ready to lose your life. Yes, it's difficult, it's easier to say.
Felix Adegboye, I have to thank you very much for your time on the program this morning, shedding light on what we need to do to really be able to say we're serious about enhancing national security. Thank you for your time. Everyone, thank you for being part of the program. It's been nice having conversations around communication for enhanced national security from my colleagues.
I'm Saeed Aribisala. Do enjoy your Friday and the weekend.
And for me, Oluwatoyin Mother, I'm saying that always be good. I know that Sunday Kola will still have to say something as well. Always be good and just do your own part.
Let's do this again. Monday morning, God willing. Sunday Kola is my name. Enjoy your weekend. Good morning.